Starting the stream, starting the recording. All right. Hey, everyone. This is OotiniCast episode 386, being recorded on April 21st, 2020. This is the raw version of the show, going out live as a stream, and it will also end up on YouTube. And then we will clean up the audio, and it will be on as a podcast. Looks like the stream has started on twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Doc just needs a second. I think he's getting a drink. And yeah, so we did have a patch drop today. Not too much really to talk about with that, because we already knew what was coming with it. And yeah. All right. But anyway, yeah, let me go ahead and tweet this out. That would be a good thing. And yeah, and for some reason Discord is switching us. Like, it always put me on the right and Doc on the left, and now I'm on the left and Doc's on the right. So I'm having to like change my whole like focus so I can actually like look like I'm looking at Doc, not like I'm looking away, you know? Because the way I used to look, it was much more natural for how my computer is set up. But anyway, we will make it work. And if I can get it to switch back, I will. But they changed something in Discord, and I cannot get it to swap locations for me. So anyway, let's go ahead and... And this is 386, like I was saying. Of course, it helps if I actually type it correctly. Okay. That looks right. I'll do a little retweet since we got a moment here with Doc getting his drink. Bum ba dum bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum dum da dum. So yeah. So what do we got here? People are still just starting to show up. Right, so since I got a minute here to vamp, I'll probably talk about this on the show too. I am starting to watch, or catch up really, on, you know, I don't think I actually added that to my show notes. Let me add that now. Clone Wars, so... I've had Disney Plus, I just haven't made the time to actually catch up on it. Now, I watched all of it I could back in the day, like before they swapped over, and so I rewatched. I wasn't sure if I had seen him or not until I was like actually had seen a couple of them, and it's like, oh yeah, I have seen these before. But I did watch season 6 again. And now I'm on season 7, and I'm a few episodes in, and we're seeing Ahsoka again, which is nice. It's still young as Ahsoka, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, I have not finished Rebels too. I'm gonna have to finish that as well, because, you know, obviously that's there too. It sounds like Doc's on his way back. There he is. Uses that fancy program to do his backgrounding for him, so he doesn't have to have an actual green screen. Hey, Doc.
Hello.
All right. Yeah, I was just vamping a bit.
Test.
We are live. We're recording. We're streaming it out. Is your Audacity rolling?
I just turned it on. My lines look the same as they do.
Perfect. Hey, Deck. Awesome. And yeah, so I'm ready if you are. If you need a minute though, I can vamp some more.
I accidentally closed the window that had the show notes up, so let me fix that.
Okay. How's it going, Deck? Nice. Yeah, so I was just saying how I'm catching up on Clone Wars. So I'm through season 6, kind of again, because I've definitely seen most of those, if not all of them, before. And I'm on season 7, which is definitely new to me. They're the ones that are actually like Disney episodes. So, and then I'll have to finish Rebels as well. In both cases, I was like watching it, but then I like dropped the things that had the subscriptions on them, and yeah. So there's episodes of both that I have not caught up with. So
okay.
So if
I'm
you're
trying
ready,
to think if there's anything I'm missing. Too many things in the checklist, chill.
yeah. It still looks like you're shading away from me, but if you can shade a little bit towards the other direction. Yeah, that way.
But I want to look at my show notes.
I understand, yeah. I have to do this too. I'm actually looking at a corner of the screen, but the show notes are over here, so I'm going to have to look over there sometimes. It's really awkward. I really wish Discord had not done this.
Yeah, I don't know why Discord is mirroring me on my screen, but I'm not mirrored on Twitch.
Yeah, that's weird too.
It doesn't compute. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, clearly what it's doing is it's sending out a non-mirrored version, but it's still giving the mirrored version to you. I don't know why. So
yeah,
bizarre.
It'll be okay.
All right, so if you're ready, I think we can get going.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that has learned that following direct orders isn't always the best way to solve a problem. This is episode 386, being recorded on Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
I'm just hung up on this whole being able to solve a problem. You need a better order giver then.
Yeah. Well, I chose this one. It's an Ahsoka Tano quote from Clone Wars, kind of an earlier one. I'm catching up on it. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it felt pretty good. And boy, Discord did something weird to us today. Our cameras are all flopped around really weird, so we're kind of dealing with some minor technical weirdness. But I think we're ready to go. So let us know what you've been up to.
Well, I have been doing a little bit of work inside Star Wars The Old Republic. I have been overrun with work stuff.
Okay.
And when I sit back at the end of the day and think about everything that I'm being asked to do by my university, I'm just blown away that I'm still alive and that my brain still is doing anything. I'm not a vegetable.
Right.
And so basically I'm teaching overload right now, which is, beyond my regular list of classes I normally would have. But it's going okay. And so gaming has become something that I've added into my life in a much bigger way than what I've been used to. I have no commute for any reason whatsoever. Wow. And so I started doing pre-work streaming.
Nice.
And so where SWTOR fits in is, it was sometime last week. This was probably my best streaming day. I had an unplanned people messaged me and they're saying 16-man story mode Ravagers. Can you DPS? And I was looking at the clock and it was past 6 o'clock and I was still working. I was like, you know what? Yes, I am going to kill things. So we did the Ravagers on story mode, and it was so much fun to stream that because normally when I stream SWTOR, it's all about me losing and then me struggling with the emotional ramifications of what these bosses are doing to me. But this was so much of a face roll. Even Master Blaster did not have enough time to do what it was trying to do to us.
Wow.
And it was great. It was, I mean, I think some of the group was completely new to ops. We had one person who said they've never done an operation before, and oh my gosh, so his SWTOR story is now, oh yeah, I've never done an op before, but I beat 16-man Ravagers with no wipes. So he's going to think ops is fun and easy. And so you're welcome for that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, me and my two friends from my Death Star Troopers team, Ven and Kat, still wanted to play, and I still wanted to play because Ravagers took like 40 minutes. It was ridiculous how fast we went through it.
Wow.
So we decided to go back in and try to do a 4-man story mode Temple of Sacrifice, which, if you know the mechanics, that's not the hard part. We had actually tried it a previous evening that week with Jay Muscleman, who, if you're not following his channel on Twitch, he streams SWTOR a lot, and I really like what he does. But he ran with us the previous attempt, and we made it through the walkers, we made it through the Underlurker really easily, and the Revanite commanders stopped us. And it wasn't the commanders that stopped us, it's what happens when all 3 of them jump down, and all the ads happen too.
Yeah, that's a lot of ads.
And so our composition, remember, we're 4 people, so we have 0 tanks. We have a Juggernaut who can fill the role of a tank.
Right.
We had a Power Tech DPS. We had me on Lightning. And we had a healer. And I believe that night she was playing Sorcerer. And we tried maybe 3 polls and we couldn't do it. So this night where we came back, we really lucked out. So there was a moment where I should have died. And I threw up my force barrier. And instead of breaking the force barrier, I decided I need to be alive for 10 more seconds, even if I'm not doing anything. What ended up happening, and this is just from my perspective, so I really think the other 3 people on the team did something smart too, but I only know what the smart thing is that I did. Holding the 10 seconds of force barrier caused all the spraying from the ads to go into me and accomplish nothing.
Oh, nice.
And so by the end of that 10 seconds, half of the ads were dead from my other group members, and then one of the bosses died. And then it's like, oh, we got this. Because once one of the bosses dies, it's just about, just stay alive, just keep doing damage. Right. Second boss died. The ads stopped spawning. I think that might be a story mode thing. I don't think they really stop on veteran mode. And then we took down Curse as the last boss. And then I put a screenshot in the show notes of the 4-man Temple of Sacrifice Revan fight video, and it's of us on the 3rd floor. The Revan fight was super easy. You can do that with 4 people, 0 tanks, 3 DPS, 1 healer. You can actually get that done super simple, because the damage output, the fact that the healer only has 3 other people to heal, I think helps.
Okay.
Because the damage output doesn't overrun the group. So you end up with this situation where it's just run the mechanics, and really the only mechanics that matter are, don't fall on the stair boss. Everything else kind of takes care of itself on story mode. So that was really fun. We also did Sunday night. We took down the Mechshaw world boss, which there's no achievement for.
Really?
Which means that, well, it just feels really sad, right? You get 24 people together to go kill a new thing, and
no achieve.
There's no evidence that you did it. So
is it a difficult fight at all? I haven't experienced that one. Does it have any interesting mechanics or anything?
I did die once, and I don't understand entirely what was going on. There's a part where an ad pops up that the boss has, and it seems like the boss is easy enough if people are hitting their interrupts. If you stop him from doing his moves, then that affects his power buffs that he gets on his bar, and also it affects the way the ads come out.
Okay.
So I did get killed once, but just like with World Boss logic, the boss is maybe 100 meters away from the spawn point, so you just return to Med Center and run back.
Yeah.
That taxi is really easy to get to the boss staging area. and it went down. It was a really quick fight, and it was neat because it's this kind of bigger body type character wearing one of the skimpy armor sets. That it's like the glowing one, this kind of bounty huntery, but it doesn't cover the full torso.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm using on my is it like ventilated triumvirate one? That one?
Yes, it's that one.
Yeah,
that's what I think the
set.
boss is wearing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like a bit of a joke character to me that you stumble upon, but he's level 75 and you need 24 people to take him down.
Wow.
So that was fun. And I used I put some more oomph into my Streamlabs stuff. I launched DrSWTOR.com, which is an alternate place to catch my Twitch streams, and it has like a donation box right there, and then the chat is still right there. So it looks like you have all the resources you would have on Twitch, but just it's branded towards me.
That's pretty cool.
And I got my Coffee Time Baby Yoda emote approved by Twitch. So one of the subscriptions, the second tier, which I called the Master's Degree tier, you can get that emote. And I created it because I'm always using Coffee Time as my reason for taking that midstream break.
Right.
So I've been streaming lots of different games besides SWTOR and having a lot of fun with it. So I'm building relationships with people, and I don't really feel that isolated because of that. So it's going really well, and it's just really fun to see the names pop in and out in the chat and develop some of those friendships. Because remember, I'm basically all alone out here. I work a lot, and SWTOR and streaming have been my social life. So it's really cool to get to interact with people. So before I ask you, Chill, who do we have in our chat today?
All right. Well,
who's hanging out with us?
It's a little quiet today. It's you and me, Arjar, Squishy Twitchy, and we know that Dekion's as well. It's not updating, so there could be some other people that just I don't know how often it updates, but we just got a few people right now, and I'm sure more will come. But we did get the patch drop today, so it's possible that people are just like checking out the new patch as well. Let's see. So on my, I guess you can call my mains now. I feel like I want to switch them over and make them my mains, but it's kind of awkward to do that. I'm trying to get the Flawless Riposte set, which is really difficult to get. It's the one that you can't get from the vendor, but you can get sort of randomly, and you can also it has a slightly higher chance to drop as a Duxon boss drop. Unfortunately, I'm not doing Duxon, so it's really hard to get that set right now. I did notice that I did check on Kai Zyken this weekend, and that he did not have any Flawless Riposte sets, but he had one from another class that has that same set of restrictions, doesn't appear on the vendor, more chance to drop from Duxon bosses. So presumably it will show up on Kai Zyken eventually, and then hopefully I'll get lucky and it'll also drop from an Onslaught box or a Conquest box or something.
Yeah.
We'll see. Until then, I've got 2 different sets. They're both 75 now, so Red, as a Juggernaut, she has the set that when you do your mad dash forward, you get a little bit of defense. She's rocking that one. And Wonder Woman, also 75, now has that set that's very generic, but it's pretty cool, especially when you're just doing you're still doing chapters and still doing story content. And that's the one that when you kill a unit, up to every 8 seconds, you get 8 seconds of 75% movement speed, and you get a 20% of your health back. And it lets you just plow through content. It's kind of amazing for that. How it's going to be at other things, I don't know, because in operations, the tank doesn't really kill that much. Even if there are ads, they often don't kill very much. And, even in war zones, it's as a tank, you're not doing all the damage, so you might get a kill every once in a while, and it'll be useful, but anyway. So I still want the Flawless Riposte. Don't have any pieces of it yet, and we'll just have to kind of work towards it over time. I did do the Ravager 16 man myself, actually. That was the Jar Jar Joyride. Deck even mentioned it. It went really smoothly until we got to Master Blaster, and we had 14 people. out of the 16, and we just weren't quite able to get it down. It seemed like the healers were kind of being overwhelmed. Because that's just what happens sometimes. So actually, Fee got on, and I think one other person got on as well. And she just helped us heal through that, and then we got through the whole thing. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, Fee definitely saved us, exactly as Dex said.
Good work, Fee.
Yeah, so that was really nice. And other than that, it was a very smooth run as well. So Juggernaut Red, she's all the way through her story. Got her all the way through Onslaught and everything else. Pretty awesome. Feels good. Wonder Woman is still in actually, she's not in Kotet quite yet. She's in Kotfi, actually. I put on my notes that she's in Kotet, but she's not quite there yet. She's in like the back half of Kotfi. She's got her alliance, and she's gotten a few more chapters done, but we're not quite to Kotet. Let's see. I did put in a bug ticket today. I just checked out, we did have 611 dropped today, and I got the conquest on 3 characters. One was my assassin, the one I brought to Ravagers, because I was also, you get so many conquest points doing an operation. That was pretty much all I needed to do, and he got to 50,000. I was also doing some crafting and stuff on him. So anyway, it worked out. I got the conquest rewards. Went on Red, got the conquest rewards. Went on Wonder, no conquest rewards, even though she had like 80,000 points. Wow. So I put in a bug ticket, and I think this has to do with the new changes to the conquest, because remember what they said is the conquest now, it's first of all, it's 3 different tiers of levels, but also which reward you're going to get is going to be based on what level you were at the start of that conquest. It's going to take a look at your level at the start of the conquest, like right now. Like if you log on right now and your character's below 71, it's going to be at 1 tier. If it's at 71 or higher, you get the highest tier, and then there's a really low level tier one as well. And obviously this last one wasn't supposed to follow those rules, but I think something got mixed up, and because I think she was not 71 a week ago, because I was still leveling her, pretty sure she wasn't level 71 a week ago, so I think that mucked things up. I don't know. I can't guarantee that's the reason, but for whatever reason, she doesn't have her conquest reward, so I put in a bug ticket, and we'll see what happens. Also, I'm catching up on Clone Wars. I do have Disney Plus, and technically I rewatched, although I hadn't watched it in so long that it kind of felt new. I rewatched season 6, and now I'm on season 7. That's definitely new to me, and it's kind of cool. We're starting to see some Ahsoka, and good episodes. Really excited. I think I'm not quite halfway through the last season though, so I've still got a little bit of time. And then the last episode's coming up in a week and a half or something like that. So that's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be May 4th actually. They announced, so it's gonna be on Star Wars Day, and really excited about that too. So I'm having a lot of fun still on the Guardian and the Juggernaut. And we'll see if I can get that set together, but it's not going to happen very fast, so no worries though. All right,
the Clone Wars has been really fun, and I think that the story arcs that they chose to tell in this season, I really think we're going to look back and have some really fond opinions and memories about this show. Last week's episode blew me away. I wish we could talk about it, Chill. So catch up.
I will. Maybe after like May 4th, we can have like a more spoilery discussion about them. So
yeah, one of the Lucasfilm people that I follow on Twitter, I don't remember which one, but they said on Monday that it's Monday. That means we're 4 days away from the best episode of Clone Wars of all time.
Wow.
And
Bold.
I think that that's probably underselling. Wow. I feel like last week's episode puts us in a really neat spot for the story of Star Wars.
That is cool.
And I can't wait to talk with you about it. That's going to be a future episode, and hopefully we can drag
yeah,
some neat people into that conversation. I think that would be great
yeah.
podcasting.
And I'll have to catch up on Rebels too, so I'll make sure to do that as well. Because again, I had subscriptions to the things they were on, and I ended up dropping pretty much everything. And yeah, but now I've got Disney Plus, so I can grab that. So that'll bring us, I guess, to the tip of the week. We do have a tip from Eric, and he's also written us a letter that we'll read later in the episode. Eric wrote, "This may not suit everyone, but I think it's worth a try depending on your playstyle. Bartenders on pretty much any planet will sell food items that will increase your presence and out-of-combat health regeneration. The fleet vendor I know for sure has these items. I find it's very helpful if you're the kind of player who likes to use a DPS role companion. The health regen helps out that little bit, so you don't have to stop as much to heal up." And I agree. I don't usually bother with the presence one because I've got like all the datacrons, and I've done all, because I've done the legendary, so I've got a bunch of presence. So a little bit of extra presence doesn't help me much, but it might help people who have like newer legacies. But I do actually, when I was leveling these last two tanks, I had kept my companion on damage, not healing the whole time, just so we could, do more damage and go a little faster. And yeah, it works really well for like, you don't really need it early levels, but like, when you're in the 20s and things are a little bit tougher, maybe you can start to grab it. And then they work pretty well past the class story. And they kind of stopped adding them to the game after a while, so that last recipe, whichever one's the highest one, it kind of doesn't really do much if you're like, level 60 or higher, but if you're 50, 55, it's still fine. Also, if you're being ranked down, it still helps too. I mean, if you're going to, McKeb, you're being ranked down to whatever you are on McKeb, 55, I think, but so it's still reasonable there too. So you can actually use that to make it valuable a little bit longer. Eric,
I want to piggyback on that, Chill.
Mm-hmm.
If you are leveling a tank,
mm-hmm.
even though the game does get a little bit tough in certain moments, I actually would recommend for people that want to get into group content, when you're leveling a tank, let your companion be the DPS, because if they are a healer, then you will never die.
No.
And there will never be a reason to experiment with all the great defensive moves that your character has. And then when you're in group content and you need to be able to use those moves, you're going to be that entitled person who blames the healer for everything, which is not great for the group mojo.
Right.
And the leveling up planets from Korriban all the way through McKeb, and then Yavin 4s, and then Zakul. Those are really great moments to learn how do I absorb more at certain moments? How do I mitigate damage? How do I reflect? And when is that the right one to use? And your healer kind of puts you on the Hooked on Phonics kind of SWTOR experience. So, I'm just saying, if you want to have a little bit of a challenge, SWTOR is a lot easier than it was 9 years ago because every companion can heal.
Right.
And so it's up to us as the players to notice, well, why is this easy? And we actually have a lot of control over why it's so easy.
Yeah,
and
we do.
Leveling tanks, I hear a lot of people downplay how fun that is, but I actually love doing it because my brain is doing all kinds of stuff, and I think it's because I choose DPS as my companion.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I was trying like never to put them on heals. And I think there was one or two weird things in the story where I kind of ended up putting them on heals, but 99% of the time they're on damage. And then I was using the cooldowns and learning them really well. On Juggernaut and Guardian especially, they have some pretty solid ways to heal themselves. It's kind of it's a medium length cooldown, and especially earlier in the game. But it's a lot of healing, and what you can do is just let yourself get really low, and then in any fight where you're getting attacked by multiple enemies, you just pop it, and your health bar just goes, it just fills right back up.
Right.
I mean, it might not in an
And
operation, or even a serious flashpoint fight, because where the damage is more serious, but where they're just picking away at you and your heal is actually much greater than the damage that they're doing each time, your health bar just gets completely filled up. It's wonderful.
but having familiarity with how long that cooldown is, so where you can do it
Yeah.
again. If it's 2 minutes, right, and you're doing an 8-minute boss fight, then you have to understand when's the right moment to use it. If you're at 30% health, but you're at the 90-second mark of that fight, and the third phase has a big hit, then maybe you have to trust your healers.
Yeah.
But then when you're at that big hit, now's the time, and the big hit now means nothing to you. And so,
Right.
Going back to if you're leveling a power tech, you just have Mako following you, keeping you at 100% the whole time.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that move even does.
Right. When it works. Yeah.
Convert the damage into health. I'm making stuff up. I don't play power tech. Everyone who listens to this show knows that. But it's this thing where you actually can use the leveling experience as your training ground for what really is the ceiling on what your character can do.
Right.
And that's a lot better than buying a token and being level 70 8 seconds after you created your character.
Yeah. That's a hard way to learn your character.
It's a terrible way, because you get all the moves and you're just like 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And that you can tell when players have gotten to 70 that way too.
Yeah. And I have learned a lot about like the cooldowns, like that defensive one. I've learned that it ticks and heals you anytime you take damage, and that includes dot damage. So even if you're like almost dead, if you've got a dot on you, that cooldown will just it'll start healing you right away, because every time it ticks, and those dot ticks are never really strong, at least most of the time. And you just get to fill the full. And then like I found also that like the reflect, it's for like weapons and like tech and force attacks, but there are some things that it doesn't help with. So like if let's say you're doing one of the chapters in the Zakulan swamp, which I do this sometimes, and I just like to run through everything and then just do a big fight at the end, blow some cooldowns, have some fun, try to get them all down. Well, I found out that Saber Reflect doesn't really reflect critter damage. So like creatures attacking me, they don't get reflected. So it's not doing anything at all. It didn't help at all in that case. I was using other cooldowns, so I survived, but I found that, none of them took any damage. Whereas usually if it was all Sky Troopers, they'd all be taking damage, and the threat would be going up on me, and so the companion wouldn't be turned on, which he was in that in this instance. And it's like, okay, well, Saber Reflect not good against certain types of attacks. So there you go.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, and I also, it took me a long time to learn how the 30% extra bonus health cooldown works. It's like a 1 minute cooldown. It's 30% of your extra health, but then you lose the health at the end. And there's a similar one in World of Warcraft that what it does is it gives you that health, and it extends your health bar past the 100%. And at the end, it just kind of chops it off 100%, but it doesn't necessarily lower you below 100%. This one doesn't do that. This one, you actually do lose the health. Like it does some weird things where like your health bar goes up, your max health bar goes up, and you're taking damage, and at the end it'll kind of do two little weird things where like the extra health will go away, and then it'll also reset it because you're also going from the 130% of your max health to 100% of your max health, and it does two, and you'll actually see your health bar do two little jiggy jags left and right, and it'll end up in a very weird spot. I'm still like trying to figure out exactly how much health I'll be left over with. But what that really taught me was that I can't use it as a heal. Like if you use it as an out of combat heal, it'll just disappear after whatever the timer is. But on the other hand, what it's really good for is if like you're going to take a lot of damage and you use all this extra health that you're being given. Because then that way when it disappears, you don't even notice it because it's all been used up anyway.
Can't you use it too when your health is going down, down, down as a way to just boost your health and give your healers more time to get to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
and
if
like
you're
I,
at 10% health, you would instantly jump to 40. But then when the
mhm.
timer is up, you'd go back down. Hopefully, you're not still at 10 because the
Hopefully you're not
healers
still
would
at
get
10.
to you.
Yeah, and they got to you,
Right.
right? And what I can
Yeah.
also do is it has a it's a 1 minute cooldown. The other one's a 2 minute cooldown. The one that we've been talking about that gives you a bunch of healing when you take damage. That's a 2 minute cooldown at first, and then if you're a tank, it becomes a 1 minute 30 cooldown. I also have the tactical that reduces it even more. Like every time I think once every 3 seconds or something like that, when I get hit, it lowers it by 2 seconds. It's amazing. It's amazing. The cooldown comes back so fast. It's awesome. But anyway, what I do is like if I'm really low, I don't necessarily want to trust that like because if a really big hit came in, it might actually kill me before I could get healed. And so if I'm really getting thumped, I just hit both of those. That way I get the health, and even if they really hit me hard, then the heal will start coming back, and and I'll be okay. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I totally agree. It's like, and I would have no idea of like how the extra health worked, and exactly what the saber reflect does and all that. If I was, if I just blong dropped him up, to max level right away. So yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Was there anything else that Eric said here? Da, 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 da. Okay. By the time I was done with the fight, I typically only went down 10 to 15% health and was able to finish the fight sooner because the companion was set to damage. And then having companion set to heal sometimes feels like overkill or overheal and just makes fights longer. And then obviously for some boss fights and other content, it calls for having a healing role companion. But I thought this shook things up and was more fun to use. So thank you, Eric. And obviously you're the winner of a Tonfon or M8 3R droid pet code, or now you can also get the new M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare. And you'll also get an OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, then please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that will bring us to the Mind Trap. Doc?
All right, the mind trap comes back, and I'm really glad I remembered to put up the
Yeah.
question. And I just want to give some context for this question. Obviously, we're all experiencing a quarantine related to COVID-19 that's completely changed the way we go to work, the way that we live our lives, how much direct sunlight we get, and probably altered the way that we connect with SWTOR and our SWTOR communities.
Yeah.
So I actually received a phone call over the weekend, and so the phone tag ended yesterday. I got to talk with this reporter who is out of one of the universities here in Phoenix, and she wanted to talk with me because of my professional role as a mental health service provider. And so obviously in that side of my life, people know that if you want to talk about mental health and video games,
You're the guy.
in the state of Arizona, then find me.
Awesome.
So she found me, but then I'm sitting on this whole like, yeah, but streaming is also kind of saving my sanity too. Like I'm not, and I told her yesterday, I can talk about this from both angles, and she's super excited about that. Because yeah, video games keep us connected, and video games give us challenges that feel a little bit different than maybe I should mop my kitchen floor today. And
Right.
and so I just thought I would ask the SWTOR community, and maybe this poll will be something that I can relate some of my answers to tomorrow, because it's polling a gaming community and getting a finger on that pulse of how's our life look with COVID-19, with work being lots of work from home for people, or if you still have a job where you're providing services to people, I'm sure it's multiplied in complexity and stress levels that you go through because of shortages of resources, personnel, all kinds of things. So video games feel really important right now in a way that maybe they were just a entertainment, leisure, relaxation activity 90 days ago in this country. So chill, before I talk about the votes that have happened. The poll has closed. It
Okay.
closed right before we recorded. And so I see the results. But where are you falling when you think about your sanity, video games, and the quarantine lifestyle?
Right, the quarantine lifestyle. Well, I could have put extremely or very much. I decided on very much in this case because, at least in terms of my streaming schedule and like what I've been doing in game and stuff like that, that part hasn't changed very much. So I didn't want to feel like I was overselling it. On the other hand, it is now a greater part of when when I'm actually interacting with people. My gym's closed, and the few other like things, activities that I do, they're all pretty much gone. There's a couple of local restaurants that I'm very friendly with the staff because I go there a lot, and I haven't been to any of those. And it's so, but the streaming continues, and that's really really good. So yeah, I would say very much in my case. You could even make an argument for extremely, but I decided not to, not to go overboard because I am still streaming about the same amount and, and doing the same sort of things in game. But it is nice to still have this outlet that, gives me a way to be, a little bit social, which is great. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm streaming about 4 times more than I used to.
Wow.
I'm putting in a 2 or 3 hour stream every morning, and I'm not skipping a day. Uh,
Yeah,
the only
it's a lot.
the only days that I've skipped since I updated my stream schedule was because of providing a counseling session for
Mm-hmm.
some people. Because I'm always up in the morning, and before teaching work, that's what I do. Is I have the webcam. For technologically challenged, I do have a security protected phone that I can use. And so I just realized, you know what? If I have less counseling sessions, then I'll just be Dr. SWTOR. And some games came out that I was super excited to, I know what's going to happen when I play SWTOR. If I'm playing for fun, then, we'll win some things. I'll talk about my research. I'll introduce myself to some new people. But I really wanted to share some of that experience in the context of other games. So,
Okay.
especially ones that give me some psychological ideas to explore. And I think hopefully that's something that people enjoy. I know I've been hanging out, just special shout out because he's in our chat right now. Scrubland Chad is like my best friend in the stream world. We hang out every morning and
Oh, that's
just
awesome.
living that Japanese high school life and breaking people's brains and stealing their hearts in Persona 5. Um, it's really
Okay.
fun because that game has a lot of Jungian symbolism, and I teach counseling theories, and Carl Jung is the psychologist that eventually his theoretizations led to the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which is the cornerstone for the personality testing side of my dissertation with
Oh, wow.
SWTOR. So there's like a ripple effect. Oh, I just hit my mic. There's a ripple effect of why these games connect with me, and I'm really trying to share those. I don't have quite a nuanced explanation for why I streamed Resident Evil 3. I think I just wanted to feel scared that morning, and that was a really fun stream. But from the SWTOR side too, my SWTOR streams have been really exciting to engage with the number of people. I've been trying to raid some new channels. I've been trying to just get into the community and not let myself become socially isolated. Or the real risk for me is my job is 100% work from home. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of my online classes are online classes, but my classroom classes are now Zoom classes.
Right.
And if it's still the screen, but mentally I experience um, a refreshing, relaxed, kind of mindful, present state when I'm playing games. Because I am trying to figure things out, but it's fun figuring things out.
Yeah.
And I think I have that feeling when I'm lecturing on psychological concepts too. Uh, But, if it is work, it feels like work, sometimes even if you love your work, it still has that psychological presence of work.
Right.
So I would say for me, extremely. So the options on this poll
Oh,
were
cool.
extremely, very much, neutral, and meh, not much. So, on a scoring system, that would be like +2, +1, 0, -2,
Okay.
right? If you need to score it. 41% of the people who voted, which, I put the poll out this morning, so a lot of people didn't see it before it closed, and that's fine. But 41% said that extremely, 26.8 said very much. So those are both the positive responses,
Mm-hmm.
and that's over 60% of people, over 65% of people
Yeah.
are feeling like video games are a positive force for keeping their life energy feeling content, positive, happy. And I think that that's something that, I also would encourage people, do board games, interact with the people you're quarantined with. Unless there's a compelling reason for them to stay in the other room than you, then
Right.
take that seriously. It doesn't have to just be video games, but I think our brain goes into such a nice, positive place.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we experience a flow state, and it taps us into who we are when we're trying to solve a fun problem and, accomplish a thing that matters as much as you want to let it matter.
Right.
And I think that now is the perfect time to actually come out of this understanding what personal fulfillment is. Because, when you just go to work and you're on the interstate for hours every day and you're dealing with stress in that normal way, the old normal, the one that we're starting to forget what it even was. Uh, you stop being a luminous being that Yoda is talking about, and you get dragged into this mentality of, the crude matter stuff. And I feel like this is a great opportunity to figure out how we can transcend our circumstance. And I really hope people listen to this part of the episode because I try to embody everything I just said, even when the terror from beyond is destroying my Thursday evening. I'm playing it because something about me could transcend the way I connect with this game. If we can just get one poll to go our way, right?
That's right.
So, anything else you want to say after that volley of excessive information?
That makes it's really nice that so many people, do see it as a positive in their lives right now. I have noticed. I sort of follow the stock market a little bit, and like a lot of the gaming companies are sort of holding up pretty well. I mean, compared to the broad market, because it's something that people can do right now, and they are maintaining that connection where so many other activities, like going to the movies, going to restaurants, a lot of those are just not really possible in most places right now. But on the other hand, you can get online, you can play that game with your with your friends online, and shoot some bad guys or whatever. So
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so cool. I mean, the other parallel is, my son is downstairs on the couch doing the school video game, and I personally feel like whatever he accomplishes in Animal Crossing today is going to be more cognitively advanced than the silly little assignments he's completing for virtual elementary school.
Right.
So I think society is in for a fun little message about what matters on the cognitive side of things when
Nice.
this is all over. And I'm excited to have that dialogue in the same room with other counseling professors at the end of this, because I already am getting inquiries from them what I think is going on countrywide with video games being the most advanced cognitive tasks available to people, unless they really want to mop their kitchen up, right?
Right.
So, with that being said, we've come full circle. Let's go about our business. Move along. Let's get to the Holo feed, chill.
All right. And in the Holo feed, not a ton of news. We did have 611. It is live. The maintenance took a little bit longer than they thought, but it was live and concluded and up about an hour before the start of the show. And we now have double XP. It's from now until May 19th. And it's funny, like when they went live, some people were asking, well, why? I don't see the double XP. Well, it was about to start. It was literally about to start like a few minutes from then. But yeah, it's apparently now up too. Which we've mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show, Conquest now has 3 level ranges. They said one of the main changes we've implemented is to make personal conquest more accessible to all characters, not just those ready for endgame content. We've accomplished this by separating conquest objectives into 3 level ranges, 10 to 49, and 1 through 9 won't have access to conquest. Which, if it's like your first character, it's sense. Probably fine. You're not. It's one more thing that you have to learn. So 10 to 49, 50 to 70, and then 71 plus. And 71 plus is pretty much the same what we've gotten used to. They rebalance the numbers a bit, but it's basically the things that you're expecting. 50 to 70 then has like lower level gear and stuff like that. We've gone over all this before, which is why I'm not going to go into detail right now. But along with the conquest changes, all the old planetary bonus missions have been converted into daily and weekly missions. So can't remember all of them, but Tatooine definitely had one. And basically the idea is you could go back to that planet and complete this extra set of missions. Terrace has one and two, because I actually did it on one of the characters I leveled recently. And and now they are essentially daily and weekly missions, which is great because they were kind of gone by the wayside, and this way they're brought back into usefulness. So actually, I'm sure there's a lot of stories that people have not seen as far as that goes. There was a little while ago now, on the 10th, it was shortly after our last episode, sort of an update on the upcoming releases, and there are a few things that are still kind of good to talk about here. They are shifting to working entirely from home because of the coronavirus, of course. The voiceover studios are postponing all their in-studio recording activities, and their cast is huge. Some actors have in-home recording activity, but many others do not, unfortunately, which makes sense. It depends on, how they're doing their voice acting career. And so, of course, some of our voice actors are also actors, so they may not have these facilities, and they may sort of rely on the fact that the studios do, but they can't do that right now. Anyway, so they push back, especially the story, the story part of the content that's coming up, because they can't do the voice acting. But 611 is now April 21st. It did in fact come out today, so that's good. And the double XP event, again, it's now until May 19th. However, master mode of Ducks in Operation will be delayed, and this wasn't so much because of the story, or the voice acting. This just seems to be related to just how difficult it is to get the work switched over to working from home, but also just that the updated master mode needed more time to get where it needs to be and to actually drop. 6.2, currently targeting June, is now 6.1.2, and notice that this is that thing that they've updated recently. If it's 6.1 or 6.2, that means it has story. If it's 6.11, like the one from today, that means no story, just other kinds of updates. So like the one from today, other kind of updates, no story. It was going to go to 6.2, but now it's going to be 6.1.2 because they're going to bump back the story because of the voice acting. However, 6.1.2 will introduce a unique new in-game event that will join the weekly rotating schedule along Dantooine, Gree, and so on, and it'll be themed around the Swoop Biker Rally, spread across multiple planets in the SWTOR galaxy. We'll share more about the insane obstacle courses the Daredevil writers are setting up very soon. Very cool. We know that this is something they've looked at for a long time, but they've been very, very careful about implementing. And the one thing that they've said several times in relation to this is that if it's a race, you're in an MMO, and there's always going to be a little bit of delay in terms of, where the actual game is telling it, is sort of keeping track of where everyone is versus where the client can show that you are. And the one thing that they really didn't want to ever have is you appearing to go over the finish line first, but then getting second place. And so presumably they found some way to avoid that, because they're adding it to the game. So it'll be interesting to see how well they can do that, because that's been their difficulty for a long time. Doc?
When we had Eric and Charles on the show, they actually talked about this. Mm-hmm. And immediately after the show, the first question people would ask me, it basically went, nice job interviewing them. Did you get any breaking news? And I was like, no, because it really didn't feel like we did. But hindsight indicates that they were strongly hinting that these swoop races were coming, because it's information they talked about and we didn't even really ask about it.
Right.
And so that means it was on their mind for a reason, and we should have read between the lines and been like, OotiniCast says swoop bike races. So I really hope it's awesome fun, because that is one of the neat mini games from Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And you do it several times on Terrace, but then later in the game, I think there's optional quests that require you to get even better at it.
Yeah.
And so it's built into this Old Republic DNA already. And I just hope people embrace it and really get involved in it. I know that there are people, for example, that really love Galactic Starfighter, and I just probably haven't done a match in over 2 years.
Right.
So I really hope that Swoop Bike Racing adds something that feels alive to the game, because it could be great. It could be really awesome the way it works.
Yeah, apparently the swoop races will be on the PTS, but they did say this is a separate note that they put out there, is that they are planning on putting it on the test server, but it's not going to be there quite yet. And that makes sense, because 6.1.2 is for June, so we've got quite a bit of time before that's out. 6.1.2 is also where Master Mode of Ducks in Operation has been moved to. There's also going to be a return to the Narshada nightlife, which will also be updated, and that'll be returning this summer, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, so let's see. I think there was one other thing. Oh yeah, Charles Boyd just kind of gave an update. Like, people were asking, well, everyone was already like quarantined, so why not just start the double XP like right away? And he did write, since there's some questions about how double XP works, I'll give a bit more detail. A patch is required to update the in-game event schedule that activates and deactivates double XP on specified dates. So if double XP isn't already scheduled, a patch is required to add it to the schedule, at which point it then activates on whatever date we specify. In this case, the same day the patch goes live, because we want it to kick in as soon as possible for all of you. So there you go.
Maybe I should go make a power tech.
Yeah, and then there's not too much else going on. They are noting, like, when people bring up bugs that they're working on or are new to them or whatever, they sort of mention things. So like there's that bug in the Knights of the Fallen Empire chapters where you have not yet gone to Asylum. You're in the gravestone. You're about to go to Asylum, but it already has all the NPCs in the gravestone. That was
nice.
Apparently they're actually working on that one right now, which is interesting because that bug's been in for a while. Like before Onslaught, it was already like this. So it's kind of cool that they've actually like kind of maybe got a handle on it. We'll see. Go ahead.
Can I make a plea to BioWare? I don't know if this is fixed, but please make it so the resurrection skills in the Isaacs fight work correctly. Right now, or the last time I did it, someone died, and that's a long fight. And we did win, but they were their body was in this weird limbo where it was there to receive a battle res, but I think the game thought the character is underneath the floor.
Yeah, and it's
Or
almost
maybe
impossible to
it's
target them.
because
Yeah.
that fight is the original 30-second battle res, and now all the fights in story mode have a 30-second battle res. So it doesn't know how battle res is supposed to work now. And
Maybe so.
this bug started with Onslaught going live. So, you know, we're at the point where it has been a 6-month bug. So maybe if someone is quarantined who works for SWTOR at BioWare and listens to OotiniCast, I know that's a lot of criteria, but surely there's one person who all three of those things applies to. Let them know to look at that boss fight. We can fix it, and that could be the one good thing I do for the game.
Okay. Cool. There is a bug where multi-boss operations are not showing for Activity Finder story operations. So they are aware of that, and it's planning to be fixed in 6.1.1. So that's still a ways out, but well, actually no, 6.1.1's today, so hopefully it will have been fixed. We'll see. Let's see. And then there was a bug this was like shortly after our last show, but I wanted to bring it up because it kind of could affect people still, I suppose, or at least it might have in the past. Apparently there was a bug for a little while where people were buying cartel coins on SWTOR.com, but they weren't showing up in the game. And apparently that has been resolved. It should be in your, if you bought something, it should have been granted to your account, and if you haven't, then you should get in contact with them. And let's see, yep. We're going to skip that. There's a couple of tacticals that they're working on, bugs with them for Shadow Assassin, Traumatizer, and Go to Sleep. And then yeah, and then like I said, the swoop bike races will be on the PTS, but not in the build that they're doing this week. Finally, Nautilin Darkside Corruption 6.1.1. Darkside Corruption option still not working in the outfit designer. This is actually from the PTS. This is from like a couple days ago. And they're doing some investigating, and apparently the devs were showing up as fixed for them. So hopefully when 6.1.1 drops, Nautilin Darkside Corruption will work properly and show in the outfit designer slots and all that good stuff. So there you go. Not a ton going on right now, but we do have some things from the force feedback. Eric, who sent us in the tip of the week earlier, also sent us an email. And this will be good for you to talk about, Doc, so I'll read it out, though.
Okay.
Again, this is from Eric. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, turning 30 this month. I remember when I was 8, and my mom's boyfriend threw on Empire for me the first time, instantly in love. Later, I got some Star Wars video games and books, and then got into the tabletop and miniatures with my friends. Even played some Star Wars Destiny at local hobby shops as of late. I have an embarrassing amount of Star Wars pop figures. The list goes on. In essence, despite all the crap in my life, Star Wars culture has been a constant for me, and it is my outlet, which is the primary reason I love playing SWTOR. I've been playing since launch, with some breaks between expansions, and have completed every class, and then some. Serious alcoholic. However, once in a blue moon, I'll come across another player in SWTOR who is unbelievably toxic or rude, and every time I'm not sure how to deal with it. I'm talking about the people who curse at other players and act like they are inconvenienced because no one can read their mind or be an elite player. Most times I just ignore them, and I don't say anything back, because usually if you do, it just adds fuel to the fire, and I just finish the content. But my sense of justice is over 9,000, and I feel like I want to rip someone a new one. I don't know why this bothers me so much. Do others feel the same? Perhaps I'm shocked at myself for having this burning sense of justice or / retaliation, or maybe it's just a defense mechanism, not sure. Sad to say, I just logged off from my last session. I was about to whisper the toxic player I just ran with and tell them off explicitly. I typed out the whole message and then stopped. The whole message was extremely vulgar, and I knew that sending it wasn't going to accomplish anything and only make things worse, and perhaps even get a harassment claim. I logged out and shut the PC down. I'm not that person, and I definitely don't want to be locked out for double XP. Lol. So my question is, what do you do, and what do other players find helpful? And yes, people Mako saying /ignore. Dekyun saying
Yeah.
hashtag no don't PvP.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, and he even says, I've quit SWTOR for a brief time in the past because I got into a nasty back and forth with another toxic player. So I pride myself on being a nice guy in real life and literally go out of my way to help others. It's just that sometimes these toxic players break me and I lose my crap. I definitely don't want stuff like this to keep getting to me, and any advice would be awesome. So other than /ignore or just not PvPing, it doesn't sound like he's PvPing though. This sounds more like Flashpoint / Operation stuff to me.
yeah.
Because I mean, I don't really, I mean, maybe he is talking somewhat about that, but usually
Right.
in PvP, it's like, okay, well, in less than 15 minutes, you'll be done. You'll be off to the next one for sure, if you want to. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is OotiniCast episode 386, right? I know that there are episodes in our catalog somewhere in between now and, episode. How long have I been doing this now? So probably 40 episodes at this point.
Yeah.
So
Like
somewhere I know I've talked about this, and I continue to challenge our listeners to be good to other people. And I don't think our listeners are really mostly so the people who need to hear me say that message. Right? This is the problem that we run into all the time when people start impacting the enjoyment and the comfort levels of other people. Is the places where the best messages are being displayed are not the places where the toxic people are even looking. So the people who are kind and receptive towards others hear this message, and it doesn't really change them because they're not causing the problem. Now, that being said, yes, MMORPGs open the world of our experience in a way that not many other challenge-based things will open up our world. One of the things I talk about when I'm doing a psych talk of some kind, and I'm talking about video games, is in my childhood, I would play all kinds of games with my friends that had a competitive bent to them. That's what video games do, whether it's Mortal Kombat or NBA Jam or anything where I have a controller, they have a controller, and my goal for that hour of my life is to beat them as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in my little community, small town in the state of Illinois, with maybe only a couple hundred of kids my age, I would beat everyone at NBA Jam, right? Why am I bringing this up during OotiniCast? Well, because that would integrate with my ego, and when I'm at school, you build a reputation. Like, Daniel is great at Mortal Kombat. Daniel really is good at NBA Jam. The internet has ruined that for generations of children now, because nobody is good at anything. Because you log in, you get paired with anonymous people, and they will destroy you. I wish so much that I had the courage to stream Mortal Kombat 11, for example. But part of my psyche wants to believe that I'm good at Mortal Kombat, but the logical side of my brain knows I'm terrible at Mortal Kombat. Because the people who stream and play this game for 10 plus hours a day, right, I'll get paired up with them. They will beat me in 6.1 seconds. Right. And then I'll have to wrestle with this. Oh, I was never good at Mortal Kombat when I was 10 years old either. I was just playing in a very small community that made me look better than I actually was. Now, in team-based situations, you still have that drive to win. And people will look at what you are doing to their reputation, and their ego becomes connected to it. So if you're playing a master mode, even if it's Hammer Station, and this tank and this DPS and this healer are all aware of what's going on, and you're a scrub, sorry scrub, different kind of scrub, I'm talking to the chat there, and you're a scrub at SWTOR, and you get paired with them, and you turn the wrong way, and it slows down, how how fast, how many master mode hammer stations we can complete this hour, then you're going to start getting nasty whispers. And so I don't know how good the social settings are in SWTOR because I don't do this, but in an ideal world, you could turn off the ability to receive whispers. But then they can kick you. And so now you're like, why did you kick me? Because you turned off whispers. So essentially, the people in the community who don't do their meditation exercises and they just really want to beat Hammer Station, they will kick you because you're slowing them down. They're not thinking about you like you're a real player. They're thinking about you like you are the wrong companion to complete this quest with. Right? You're essentially Mako and Lana Beneath and Theron Sean to them. But they will talk to you in a way that disparages you. And I think the unspoken goal there is to prevent you from queuing, because if I'm trying to chain run Hammer Station, I cannot be paired with you. So their goal in the game, being hindered by you, makes you less human than what good humans contribute towards the goal, right? So the goal is more important than the relationship. The quest is more important than the humanity of playing the game together. So, you can ignore people. And from what I understand, if they're on your ignore list, then that does diminish your ability to get paired with them. Arguing back will never accomplish anything. And I'm not really going for a Jedi code kind of result here. But giving into anger is just going to spread the suffering, right? It's like a debuff circle that you drop at the feet of other people, and then they drop it at the feet of other people. And, before you know it, everyone has this debuff now, and everyone's defeated and looking at SWTOR like it's toxic. And I just would encourage you to remember what SWTOR is. It is a massively multiplayer, online RPG in the Star Wars galaxy. You are interacting with so many more people than the human brain evolutionarily was programmed to interact with on a daily basis, right? Our brain is an organ, and it understands things starting, we start the growth of humanity, tribal times, collective communities, towns, counties, governments. We can interact with thousands of people in a fraction of an hour because of SWTOR. And so that makes the people that frustrate us disposable. We don't encounter them like human beings. And I wish people were more enlightened and thought about, the emotional state and the psychology of the person that I just spent 30 angry seconds typing the worst words I can come up with, as if that's its own little mini game.
Right.
And if you do that, there's counseling available. I don't want to work with you because that could be a conflict of interest. But seriously, right? There's no reason to shame people out of a video game community just because it affects your PvP rank or how many Conquest Hammer Station chain run extravaganzas you were able to complete. Just come on, guys. We can do better. The message of Star Wars is so different than what those people grow to embody. And, for me, I voice my frustrations on the teams I'm on. I'm dealing with a lot trying to adjust my mentality to what does it take to be a successful Nightmare Raider. I think I've got a failure Nightmare Raider mentality nailed down, right? I don't want my negativity, though, to spread to other people. Right. So, sometimes I defeat myself and other people have to listen to that. That's another thing that doesn't directly connect with this message, but this game can put people into mind states that are very different than what we're used to, right? We don't like to receive criticism, but I've learned so much about receiving criticism from this game and from becoming a grad school professor at the same time, right? Like the mind has this innate preference to perceive ourselves as good and effective. And one of the hardest things to deal with is that reality that we're not good at something and we're not effective and we are laying people down. And learning to develop a comfort zone with that will change your mentality from having to flame someone in the chat and make it because of them to realizing that maybe there is an amount of losing that's okay. And maybe that doesn't say I'm invaluable as a person. So for our, I want to wrap it up.
Okay.
But when you receive chat messages like that, they're tearing you down. It might be, you might have been the catalyst for the typing, but the message isn't for you. It's the person who typed it. If I'm so good at this game, how can someone like you prevent me from being great? And because that's a scary question to hear out loud, they convert it into something they can type and make it your problem. And now you've left the game because they weren't good enough to overcome the situation that maybe you being on their team put them in, but it's their own ego that was scarred, and they made that a you problem. So I would just encourage everyone, before you leave a game over toxic people, use that ignore. Find a community that is playing this game for the same reason as you.
Right.
Engage group content with people you know, if at all possible. If you're on the Satil Shan server, you're not going to experience that with Utini Knights or Utini Rage. And every server, I'm sure, has some upstanding guild communities that are always looking to have positive casual times with new players. And the more that you develop...
Oh, hang on. You're roboting out here. Yeah. Real badly, okay. Actually.
The more you develop real relationships in the game, you finder and less you interact with people. Also, you can turn different chats off so that they can. If you have a problem with general chat, just uncheck the box. If you are PvPing and you don't want to see the chat that goes to both teams, because sometimes people do the trash talking in that channel, just turn it off. Right? All you need to do is communicate with your own team. And that's there's a color code system in the chat box for that.
Right.
So we have the ability to close ourselves off from the toxicity and still enjoy the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, I would agree. And that would have been my other bit of advice for him, is that because he has mentioned that he's been kind of in and out of the game occasionally, although playing more than he's not. But because of that, he might not have been in like the same guild for a long time, or he might not have a guild that he really likes. But if you're in the right guild, it really goes a long way, because you can do guild events, or you can get on and ask people, if they want to run Hammer Station or whatever you're looking to do, and that's obviously a lot better than just doing it with random people completely. So yeah, good stuff. And I'll have to do a bit of editing. Although I'll bet you the audio will sound just fine. It was just over Discord that it was getting a little robotic there for a while, but you sound normal now, which is good. All right.
That's good news.
Yeah, and the other email we got is a return blast from the past. It's been a little while since we've had some conversations with him, but he's a great guy. He's Gas Guy. We've actually met him and so on, and he's sort of the codex guy. He loves keeping track of the codexes in SWTOR, and he's actually sent us an updated codex tracking spreadsheet. We're going to put it on the website, and then he says the updates are through patch 6.0, basically launch of Onslaught, covering the planets of Onderon and Mek-Sha. He's made changes to 312 items. Yeah, he's serious about this. Adding 179 new entries and updating 133 more with better details or corrections. The sheet allows you to track by character class, and Gas Guys included identification of codices which are exclusive to that class, or are bugged, or are not achievable. Those considered not achievable are due to either being not applicable to your character, or may have been removed from the game and thus given the status of lost knowledge. The total number of codices in the game continues to grow. In September 2014, it was 1,003. And now in March 2020, we have a list of 1,323. So more than 300 more, so 30% higher. Because some codices can be collected by both Republic or Empire characters, these are given their own separate listings in my tracking sheet, thus totaling 1,979 target items. So, for example, with my smuggler, if I subtract the 669 items which are not achievable and the 18 which are bugged, then I have a real target list of 1,292. I have successfully obtained 845, which is 65%. Not bad for 5 years of playing. What is a bit aggravating is that I have achieved some codices and I have no idea where or how I got them. So I guess I'll have to redo some class stories all over again. I could also get more if some of these were not based on Mario jumping, an in-game skill I have yet to master. Along with the codex information, the spreadsheet has spreadsheets for story tracks, Alliance companion storylines, bounty contract week tracking, MCR 99 droid tracking, and the Kuat assembly codes. So have fun, stay safe, and click on all the blue glowy items you can find. Gas Guy. Thanks,
but
Gas Guy.
But not the one on Voss. The one on Voss will get you killed.
That's right, not that one. I think there's a codex achievement for actually killing that thing. But yes, don't click on it if you're solo. But yeah, thanks, Gas Guy. It's always nice to get these updates. Yes, the codexes are like, there's a lot of them. And they do change. He's made hundreds of updates. This is amazing. So thank you, Gas Guy, and we'll make sure that gets onto the website. The older version of it has been on OotiniCast.com for some time, and even if we haven't got the updated version, at least you can get an idea of what we're looking at there right now, and then we'll try to get that updated as soon as possible. Yeah, Doc, anything else?
Yeah, just a shameless plug. I'm really trying to invest more energy into my Twitch channel, so if you want to hang out, I'm doing those in the morning. I'm doing SWTOR on the regular schedule, which are evening, night raids, Sunday and Thursday. And I'm 3 or 4 subs away from getting another row of emotes that I can upload into my channel, which I'm having a lot of fun. So nice. I'm actually trying to get my Twitch channel to operate like a Twitch channel. So I'd love to see more Ootini folks in my chat. And if you have the time, just pop in, watch some of the weird games that I'm playing, and then get back to your regularly scheduled program. But I'm just sharing it because it's a complete change from what my Twitch channel was like last episode of Ootini, and I want this group of people to know about it because I'm really excited by what games are opening for me to do, and I just want people to be a part of it.
Excellent. All right. Then that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Ootini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Ootini to join the Ootini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays at noon Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. All right, stopping the stream and stopping.